Alongside Brian Hazer, barring a turnaround of biblical proportions, the Coyotes are making their way to Salt Lake, which means, yet again, no expansion, no relocation to a Canadian city with an NHL franchise when Quebec City is begging for another shot at an NHL franchise. Is this the right way to go?
I don't believe it is. Obviously, that's not going to matter because Bettman and the owners are pushing towards Salt Lake City. What I'm fascinated by is how Salt Lake got on the map as quickly as they did.
Money.
Exactly. Well, of course it's money.
Money, a rink.
There's a rink in Quebec City. There's a rink. There's a cutting-edge, state-of-the-art rink in Quebec City. And over time, there have been prospective owners in Quebec City. Obviously, Bettman has no interest. And maybe he speaks for all the owners, including maybe the Canadian owners. Let's not forget about that. There are 7 Canadian owners who can't openly campaign for that. I'm not sure if it's happening. It's one thing if they're going to Houston, even back to Atlanta, which I think is a joke and I think will be a disaster. But Atlanta's a massive metropolis with tons of money. Salt Lake City, compared to Quebec City, this was your opportunity, and relocation instead of expansion was the opportunity. Much like Atlanta going to Winnipeg, Quebec's waiting for them, and it looks like they're going to get bypassed again.
But here's the argument I think that the NHL would make for you, and I've been at the Board of Governors meetings before, and I've heard these conversations. They're saying they want to increase the footprint for the U.S. television market, which I get. So they weren't really all that interested in Salt Lake, but if you have to have a team somewhere, it's better for them in Salt Lake than in Quebec City in terms of the U.S. television dollar, because they know they're going to go to Houston anyway. They got their $2 billion expansion money coming there anyway. So the owners are saying, where can we generate the most money for us? The rest of the owners could care less about Salt Lake franchise as well, as long as they're doing okay. But is that not what it's really all about? Well, expanding the U.S. footprint?
Probably, but when was the last time Columbus was on ESPN? Never. So Salt Lake City.
It's the local television markets. Yeah, you pool and increase the overall number.
The point being is, that is the argument, of course. And that's why they've been so steadfast in staying in Arizona. Phoenix is a pretty large city. And
there's a chance they go back there.
And there's a chance they go back.
An arena.
Like you mentioned, Houston is massive. Yep. Like in terms of population, it's larger than Chicago. It's a massive metropolis. I can understand that sales pitch. I don't know if it's going to work, but I can understand it. Even going to Atlanta, I can understand it. It's massive. I think that, again, will fail for a third time. But if you get the rink in the right place, the right owner, whatever. Salt Lake City is in the mid to late 40s in terms of population in the United States. It has no footprint in terms of major marketing I think campaigns.
But this was the only way they were going to get a team in relocation.
Of course. And they
weren't
scooped
get
in quickly. They scooped in quickly here, and I get it. And from a geographical standpoint, it keeps them in the West. Yeah. I understand the logistics of it all, but I don't believe for a second they're going to make more money in terms of tickets, in terms of support, in terms of media, in terms of the country jumping on than if Quebec City or a second team in Toronto or whatever it might be could have come to fruition here.
Final thought. Do you think another NHL team will ever come to Canada?
Not with Bettman in. No, I think you need a new commissioner. And listen, Gary Bettman, he's the longest-standing Big Four commissioner in the league. He's obviously got support of all 32 owners, possibly soon to be 33, 34, et cetera. But I think until you get a new voice, a new set of eyes, and a new creative vision in that commissioner's office, it's not going to happen.
It certainly does not look good for any Canadian city to get another NHL franchise.